Well, g'day, and thanks for coming and joining me. Of course, I don't give forewarned notice. I don't give a lead up to my channels, so I do not expect anybody to see this live. I only do this live because it's actually the only way now that I can produce videos on YouTube whatsoever. Which is kind of funny because I just feel like going live because normally when I do make an actual video, I have okay, so I don't have a purpose. You also have a point there. G'day, Ryan Vincent, Mr. Q. Uh, Good evening. It's getting a little bit onish a bit here. It's about 9 p.m. I think. But yeah, good morning to you in your part of the world. Hey, happy days. Uh, as I was saying, my ability to make videos in the past is now shunted. So I've actually spent, I regret to say, the majority of my day talking in groups, of course, because that's what you would do if you were me. You have to shine the light into the darkness. So I've been spending the entire day basically chatting in groups of below birth believers and trying to convince them why, obviously, the whole idea of living on a spinning ball is ridiculously stupid. Light bulb is actually very bright. Pushed away slightly. So anyway, I need to have a beer, and I should have done this in advance, but I didn't because it's Friday night. Well, it would be Friday night if it was still Friday, but Saturday night. You can tell I've had a good day already. I've already had a couple of these, and I should make this my last one. And I had so many things to talk about, and then they've all eluded me as they did. There's been some interesting changes in the whole YouTube would you call it a community? I don't know if you'd call it a community, but it's the whole uh, perspective, perhaps. The whole thing is changing. We've seen a few changes. There's been a few groups where I have been invited on as a guest, such as what was it called, the non-sequitur shit show, as I was calling it just before it finally self-collapsed, as you would expect from any sort of um, self-serving kind of group. Ugh, that's taking like a minute. Hurt my eyes. I'll probably have to put them back on. I have to put them back on. Somebody made a comment. I might just squint and have a look. Hang on. I need this. I've been working hard all day. Okay. Now I can concentrate again. Ryan, driving a car about proves the Earth is stationary. Same braking distance in all directions from a given speed. It's not even the braking distance, mate. I tell you, the best part is you learn about perspective while driving a car. The more you apply your mind to perspective and understanding how it works, and the more you drive a car and observe while keeping an eye on the road, of course. My eyes have this advantage of being able to see in two directions at once because I've got two eyes. um, Metaphysically and metaphorically. And anyway, let's not get into that. There are the greatest way you can observe perspective is while you're driving, because while you're driving, you are changing your perspective the entire time. And so therefore the fixed objects that you normally see from your fixed point, they keep changing points. So you can see parallax of everything in like immediate sort of situation. But what you see most importantly is how higher objects, such as clouds. Clouds are a great example, but you can use the moon, the sun, whatever. Clouds are brilliant because they are much nearer and usually more immediate to your field of view. And so you can watch them, how they disappear bottom first, they're obscured, they're set behind a nearby object as you're just moving along. And they don't shrink because they're just being obscured. And that is one of the main reasons why the sun does not shrink when it gets obscured in the distance by our, what you might call, nearby horizon. In fact, I talked about this so much, about perspective, convergence, so much so that to me now it's a given. I expect everybody should know it, but of course that's just me being stupid and thinking that anything could sink into anybody's mind unless they already get it. Once you get something, all you're really hearing when somebody says it again is just to reinforce what you already know. When you hear it for the first time, all you're really doing is saying, that's bullshit. That's stupid. I'm going to ridicule that. You're an idiot. You're a moron. You're a flattard. You're a floofer. You don't know what you're talking about. How can anybody be so dumb? You haven't been indoctrinated with the same things we already know, so therefore you're an idiot. And that is obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, that is, yes, I do agree more. That is just the natural stance of anybody who doesn't question what they're told. They believe, if you don't believe what we were told by people who we believe learned it long before us, and you don't believe it, and you think for yourself and start to question shit, then you're a fucking retard. That's the globe mentality that we have to keep putting up with to this very day. Hey, here I am, the punching bag of the flat earth, if that's what I have to be, defending it, and I will keep defending it. Key to understanding observations in this place is to understand how eyes and vision system works. And it isn't a laugh to us. I know what you mean, mate. It's very obvious once you've understood it. Once you understand perspective, everything always comes to the eye of the viewer. But most of us are so living in the classroom environment, in the bedroom, the lounge room, looking at the live vision environment, that they don't know how to go out and look at nature in its true perspective all the time. Fortunately, I am one of these gifted ones who have been able to go out into nature for most of my life. I've been very lucky in that sense. I've been very unlucky in other ways, but hey, do I care about material wealth when I have spiritual wisdom and deep understanding of the reality of the world I live upon? Do you see me looking like I'm stressing the shit out about that? And so what if I can't pay my phone bill? So what if I can't pay my electricity bill? So what if I can't pay my rent? So what if I can't pay the registration for my car? Because these shit things are man-made things forced upon us. They do not bother me, whether or not. They're just put here to be chains around my ankle to stop me from observing reality. And I have not limited myself to those shackles, even though I've still had to comply, still had to do all this, that, and all the rest. still floating. They still haven't locked me in a cage. They still haven't made me homeless. And I am still going to do what I do and observe what I do and keep speaking my mind. Even if now YouTube is now apparently, well, they're not deleting too many accounts, I think, but from what I understand, they're suppressing one or two, and they're making sure we won't get found in the search results. Hey, who's ever found Flat Earth Aussie Jesus in the search anyway, unless they've actually looked? Um, Freya, oh my goodness. Hey, how good to see you, my dear friend. Haven't seen you around in ages. Us flat earthers are going strong here in New South Wales. Wow, nice to see you, my dear. Ryan and I were, well, I was just ranting shit anyway. Ryan was here. And now I am blessed with the goddess, Freya. My lucky day. I'm still going to drink this anyway. So yeah, there's been a lot of we would talk about suppression of the truth or suppression of people's channels. I don't know. I've just always done what I've always done, and I haven't really cared too much about being popular or being, having thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers and having people give me money and all that sort of shit. Because, hey, if that's what you're relying upon to spread your message, then you don't have a true message. The truth speaks for itself. And that is why I'm still here and I'm speaking the truth for myself. And why, for the next 5 days after tomorrow, I will have to go out and do something I don't particularly like to do. I'll be working hard. It's pretty hard on, but hey, it's the ways of making ends meet. In the meantime, I get to spend time sharing the truth that I've discovered. And being a traffic controller, which is what I am currently now doing, I can see there's a lot of merit in it. I'm saving lives. I'm saving people's valuable properties. Even though they hate it, they hate to be held up. And they look at me as though I'm the bad guy, but they don't realise I'm actually saving them and saving other people's lives. Plus, trying to save my own life in between, as these 2 tons of metal come roaring up at me, and I just go, would you please stop? Stop. Fucking stop. That's what it comes down to. And then I'm the bad guy because I had to swear at them and look aggressive at them because I'm preserving my own life. Well, so that's my everyday existence at the moment, just to make ends meet so I can sit and make these pleasant chats with pleasant people. And hey, it's good to be here, and I'd rather be here than the alternative. So if I can go back now, I should just probably talk about my career for another second, so I can make more of this stuff and talk more of this stuff. And I should probably not drink too much of that stuff because it's good for what ails you. Probably that's why it's called ale, or actually stout. Stout. So today I've been talking on a few of these new little sort of pop-up channels on what they call Discord. And I think that in itself is something worth discussing. Like, it's called Discord. And to me, that just means out of balance. It's discordant. It's well, let's have a brief examination of the channel name I've sort of inherited one way or another. Flat Earth. Aussie Jesus. What did Jesus do that sort of made him notorious after he'd spent his 18 years traveling throughout the Far East, the Middle East, India, Tibet, China, possibly even Japan, and by the time he was old enough to come back to Jerusalem, where you have to be 30 years old before you're allowed to actually speak in the temples, and that's why, obviously, the people who could already see that he was a master said, well, we have to take him away or just get stoned to death. So he spent 18 years wandering, comes back to Jerusalem, 30 years old. And what does he do? He sees that these people in the highest temples should be the places of knowledge, of wisdom, of healing, of sanity. And instead, you've got these insane people butchering animals, burning birds alive, and exchanging money on tables in the highest temples. And of course he got wrathful. He might have had to get a little bit drunk, maybe take a bit of wine to get a bit of what we call Dutch courage. And he struck a chord and he overturned a banker's tables. That is what made him some sort of then terrorist. He was a terrorist because he was upsetting this way of life that these high priests had made up for themselves to make themselves very comfortable. They didn't have to work. Get that into your head, that the high priests of Jerusalem didn't have to work because they had the lower classes, the goyim, the cattle, to do all this stuff, to make all the wealth, and they would take just 10%. What is that? What is 10%? You're offering it to your God, to serve your God, and we will be the one in between to serve your God on your behalf. And all you have to do is come and confess your sins, and we will forgive them on behalf of the Father, because that is the way the hierarchy has always worked, which exactly is what heliocentrism is all about. Heliocentrism doesn't roll off the tongue that well sometimes. Heliocentrism is all about putting something at the center that doesn't belong there, because at the place of worship, okay, the sun is a good place of worship. I will say the giver of light, the giver of life, the powerhouse, has its place. But its place is to keep on going around us once every 24 hours. Who is the real giver of life? The Mother Earth. And that is what the heliocentrists cannot stand. That the Mother is the giver of life. The sun is just, it's the sun. Life can't exist without it. Okay. It cannot exist without it. So we need the two. We need the Father, Son, and the Mother Earth, so that then the children of life can exist. And that is who we are. We are, hopefully, technically, the children of the Father, Son, and the Mother Earth. Amen. But what really bothers me is that the children of the mother got so intensely jealous that they are not the givers of life. So what did they set out to do? Set out to do? When the sun sets, the Son of God sets, they set out to destroy God. And what they found though is that, well, the sun always comes back. You cannot defeat Ra, so therefore Ra becomes their God. What you can set out to do is to destroy the mother. And that is what war is all about, destroying the mother and employing, engaging in somehow making it beyond our control that we have to become enslaved to destroy the mother in order to contradictorily make a living. You want to go and live on the land? No. You are not a free man of the land. You have to have a job. And what do they employ you to do? Destroy the Mother Earth. They will pay you for it to give the illusion of freedom, to make you think, I'm a free-ranging slave. I have the freedom to be in debt, to be enslaved. Now I've got a few visitors upstairs. Mark Swarbrick, good to see you too, brother. Sorry I didn't put my glasses on a bit earlier. I only missed you by 4 minutes. That should be good. I'm still here. I've just had a bunch of rowdy young fellas return home upstairs. I have to tell them to shut the fuck up. There's one. Yeah. That's something to put in your mix. No problem. I'm doing a live tube, dude. So, so keep your noises down. Yeah, just collecting a little bag of leaf, herbal material, so so they wouldn't. I thought they wouldn't be home till much later. What's the time? Oh, it's 9:40 p.m. here in Australia. I guess I might have been home about 11. Shit happens. Eh? I don't mind. They're good kids. It's so nice to see a little bit of love in the chat too. Mark and Freya and Ryan. I think we all sort of pretty much get on the same wavelength. We grasp the fact that we've been bullshitted most of our lives. We've been indoctrinated since we were little children, and we were shown our television, our live vision programs. We've been programmed our entire lives, and we've all grown up, and yet somehow or another, we've all had enough intelligence and intuition within ourselves to escape those bounds. That they are just things that they're like manacles of the mind. You know, like you can imagine manacles around your ankles. That's how you kept people in slavery in days gone by. In the modern age, they're using manacles of our minds, and that's what keeps us enslaved. And one way or another, we are enslaved. Of course we are. We all have to pay our bills. And what do we pay it with? We pay it with artificially created concepts of wealth. But what is wealth? Wealth is the things that we produce by a master so that we can get a fraction of what they get. So we're still slaves. We've never escaped this whole slavery mentality. Oh, I shouldn't say never. I should not say never. Because there have been times when, you know, what I consider now, after a little bit of research, there was an empire called Tartaria. We all know about this net by now, obviously. The Tartarians and Tartarians, they all came from the far north. You know, our Irish, our Scottish, the Tartans, and all the rest, and our Tartar sauce. It all came from the far north somehow, from fair-skinned, long-bearded people. Not saying I'm one of them, or am I? But hey, all of this technology once came from the far north, and it gave us this amazing architecture, which we can't even come close to producing in this day and age. Okay? We can't even produce a pyramid, but it's all ancient stuff that came from the Aryans, who came out to spread the word to the world: free energy, free wealth, live, prosper, and be happy. Doesn't mean to grow fat, eat McDonald's, drive around in a car, fucking up the world. I mean, yeah, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there. But hey, we once had so much free energy and technology that we'd conserve the energy. We weren't greedy on it. Today's people, if they got given free energy, you know what they're going to do? Well, they're going to plug in their Xbox and their TV, blah, 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 this and that, and they'll take advantage of it. And of course, that's the sort of world of consumerism that has been created by all this brainwashing of limitation. It's unlimited. It is unlimited. Hello, Reagan. Thanks for joining in too. I didn't see you too long. Oh, no, not too long. Depends on what you value. Well, what do you value? That is the point. What do you value? Some people value things that give them this appearance of being more valuable than others, which is like what I see in my current career, my current ways of making ends meet. Is I see people driving in different motor cars. And you see some people with a motor car, they're just a status symbol to them. Because obviously, well, they've accumulated a lot of wealth. And so they use this wealth to then project it to the world. Look at me. Look how good I am. Aren't I great? That is to them a value. Whereas some other people I know who are quite wealthy, they will still drive around in a little dirty shitbox because the status symbol is not how they project themselves to the world, it's how they value themselves. So some people will spend way more than they're worth and go into debt to drive around in a shiny piece of fucking shit to project an image because that's how they want to project themselves to the world. So your wealth is technically how you feel about yourself. And how you feel about yourself is basically worthless if you think it depends on somebody else's opinion. If you value yourself on somebody else's opinion, other people's opinions can change like that. You know, one day you might be king of the world. The next day, some rumor might be spread that the king of the world is actually a transvestite or some arbitrary bullshit, whatever it might be. And then all of a sudden, your wealth has gone from everything to nothing because of public opinion. So if you value your opinion, your wealth on other people's opinion of yourself, then you will never be wealthy. True wealth comes from the things that you can know, the things you can hold, the things that you know to be true. When you know truth, that is something no one can steal from you, even if they lock you into a cage, even if they put you in a dungeon, even if they put you on a high tower. True knowledge is power and wealth, true wisdom. So all these arbitrary material bullshit things, they come and go. But real, lasting wealth and wisdom never. I've been on 100, but yes, thank you, Mark, for it. I hear that beautifully. There's an island, not sure of its name, but I think it might be called terra firma, where the measure of somebody's wealth is measured by their smile. It's a beautiful idea, mate. Beautiful concept. Um, and shouldn't that be how it is on whichever island we live upon? We all live upon islands, whether you know it or not. Everybody on the planar Earth is on some sort of island or another. Some of these islands are connected, so they have landmass bridges from one to another. But we are basically all living on an island, especially here in Australia. You know, I sort of have that um, Wilson effect. How cool it is to see a few people that I've known for a while dropping in. You know, Ryan and Sandra and Mark, Regan, I'm not so sure about, but maybe we'll come across each other once or twice before. And Freya, I hope you're still there. Damn it. Freya is awesome. Just in my opinion. I am biased. Rose tinted monocle. That's a really cool one too. Nice moniker. Rose tinted monocle. I haven't come across you before, I think not, but anyway, hey, thank you so much for dropping in and saying good day. While I sit here making a drunking. I'll do some drunking in a moment, but it's just another drunken rant. This is what I do. I never open my camera unless I'm actually drunk, and I try and do my best to try and shed some of the wisdom I've learnt over the years. Damn it, I need a globe head to pop up so I can get inspired and get angry and shit. Because I tell you what, righteous anger is to me the greatest inspiration. All of a sudden, when everything is going good in my world, I lose my inspiration. I lose my urge to do something. Like my urge to. I just get placid. But when somebody really infuriates me, which hasn't happened in a while, I go back to my placid self again. People seem to think I'm a nicer person when I'm placid. I'll try and be that person for a little while. So I think this is the highest I've ever had. 9 people in my chat at once. And you're all talking nicely. I haven't got a single globet in here trying to antagonize me. It's actually very beautiful. So I thank you for that. And now I don't even know what to talk about next. Sunlight. That will inspire. Because I don't think most of us flat earthers actually understand how sunlight really works. We think we've got a little bit of a bead on it. We think, well, of course, we know and understand why it rises and sets because of perspective, and distance, and all the rest. But one of the things that we generally overlook is why 2 people in 2 different parts of the plane looking up at the same sun, they all see the sun about here. And so they're both seeing 2 different apparitions of the sun, but the real sun is actually somewhere way up here. But it's making this apparition that these 2 people see because of the atmosphere. And the atmosphere is actually the most underestimated part of everything to do with perspective and understanding reality and how we see the sun and how we see everything. I still can't quite tell you how that works with the moon, but we'll get to that later. But the apparition of the sun is why 2 people at 2 different places will see this one here and this one here, and the real sun might actually be only here, not up here or not up there. It may be somewhere completely different, but the apparition created by the atmospheric gases glowing, creating that apparition, is what makes people think that what they see is reality. And so when one person says, well, I'm over here, say, I'm in Cairo, I see the sun there. And this other person says, well, I'm over here in New York, and I see it there. And so if we're seeing this right here, right now, and we triangulate this, we're going to get a false concept of how high the sun actually is, because the sun may be somewhere completely unknown to what we can actually understand in reality. This is the beauty of understanding flat Earth reality, is because we understand there are known knowns and known unknowns and unknown unknowns, and in between in between is the atmosphere, not doors. There's the atmosphere. The atmosphere is what we see. And the atmosphere, Ryan, this is what we're getting to. It's not the atmosphere. There are multiple atmospheres. Every one of these noble gases on their various layers create their own individual apparition of the sun, shall we say. But when you see it directly, the sun appears very bright. You see this very bright glowing orb. And so where we see it, created by the noble gases, maybe that's why they call them noble in the first place. They must be royal or something. But that is the apparition of the sun. The actual sun could be unknown quantities of other things, miles, distances away. And it's not really, really relevant until it comes to the point where some person over in India is also looking at the same apparition through the atmosphere and seeing it there, well, we're seeing it here, but we both think we're seeing the same thing at the same time, when it's really, who the fuck knows where. That is the biggest problem. That's what we can never really understand from our earthly perspective about the distance of the sun, which is probably why scientists and so forth have gone from, well, it's 3 million miles away, it's 18 million miles, it's 114 million miles, it's 93. Shit, let's just call it whatever. 93 million miles away. They don't know. They haven't got a fucking clue. They've got no more clue than you or I do. But if enough of them agree upon it, they can call it science. They can teach it to our children and to us in our higher schools of education. And if you believe it, then it's true. That's what belief is all about. Believe. If you believe, you make it be a lie. Therefore, it's true. Truth is subjective. Truth is just this, whatever you want to believe. We have multiple senses. We've got our eyes, we've got our ears, we've got our smell, taste, and I think most of the shit too, but touch. Yeah. I still have a sense of shitting. The point is, these inputs into our minds is pretty much what we're relying upon to say, well, this is reality. Therefore, when enough of us get together and agree upon a thing, then that is reality. Gandhi himself said that truth is not a democracy, or words to this effect. I'm paraphrasing. Truth is not a democracy. You can be a single person of one and know the truth. And it doesn't matter what everybody else believes, the truth will still be the truth. And even if you are wrong, the truth will still be the truth. So the truth may be something we still haven't even come close to comprehending or understanding. But the closest we have is using our five senses to comprehend, to detect, to observe, and then to analyze. I nearly said analysis. To analyze critically, to really interpret it with the most critical thought we can possibly apply. And I have a feeling that mankind hasn't even come close yet to analysing what we see, what we observe, as critically as to the point that we are coming to now. And this is the point we are coming to now. And I better read some of these chats because I've missed quite a few. um, the global enthusiasts think they can see to infinity. Exactly. Well, you cannot see to infinity because you've always got this convergence point in the middle of your eye point. I've discussed that so many times. It's now no longer a point of discussion. I'm not sure the sun is even a solid object, except it's more like a rainbow. Oh, sorry, Ryan. I didn't mean to be not seeing your discussions, but no. Oh, I think the sun is more like even like the song says, it's a black hole sun. The sun is. Uh, I've said it before, and I have to say it again. It's an interdimensional portal. It is a higher angel, and therefore it's also a dark angel because, geez, it's going into things I don't really want to reveal. From darkness comes light. It is diluting a higher energy of light down to a level that does not annihilate us instantly. Yeah, the movie called Dogma, I actually think is a really good example. It's a comedy movie, but I think they touched upon it quite well. As they said, oh, yeah, God went through like 3 atoms before he realized he couldn't appear in front of him. But I think that's sort of a really good analogy, is to say that we can't see God, and if we did, we'd be annihilated because it that force, that strength, that power is something that cannot exist in physicality. So what do you have to do? You have to create angles, something that can dilute it and show you a reflection of what is. That is what angels or angles do. They divert reality into little bits that we can understand a bit at a time. That's kind of why we're here and now. I gave myself permission. Ah, damn. That's a nasty stab. It's very stab. Oh, FBA. I'll show that. But you might have provided a link, FBB. And usually when I see a show and hide things, because someone's trying to spam. But FPV Angel, yeah. I'm always on your side, my friend. All right. There's a new person, Sun 93 miles. I think Tominoid here actually might be a globe believer. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, FPV, I think your link should show now. I can't really click on it while I'm doing a live thing because I'm a male. I can multitask a little bit, not to the point where I'm doing thing. I was just going to go back to this Tomanoid guy. I'm trying to understand what it says. Flight 93 on that day, and the sun 93 million. Diameter of the observable universe about 93. Oh, okay. I see what you're trying to say there. 93 repetitive. I'm actually, one of those people that does see patterns in numbers, and the 9-3. I actually made a comment on somebody's YouTube video yesterday. I think it was one of the Rhetorics ones, because me being a glutton for punishment, I go where I am most despised. I don't like that. Hang out somewhere where everybody agrees with everything I say most of the time, even though it's very, very nice today. Thank you. Well, so I do not want to assume anything. You probably all think I'm still an idiot or a crazy guy. That's cool. But when I go into somebody else's hangout, like Red's Rhetorics, for example, that's where I know that I can have the most effect. It's going to make me sound egotistical, but I'll just go out and say it anyway. Bugger it. I'm going to have to say it, is that, the master of the house does not light a lamp to hide it in the cupboard. When the master of the house enters into the house and lights a lamp, he shines it into the darkness. And so I go where I'm needed the most. I go into these places, and I have to tell you, I put up with a lot of shit. But at the end of the day, I think I end up getting a lot of respect because there's always going to be trolls. There's always going to be those people who look down upon you and think you must be the most moronic idiot, dumbass, to believe the earth is flat. And sometimes I entertain them, and when I entertain them, I just hit them up with a question. Okay, well, tell me what's your greatest proof that we live on a spinning ball going through outer space? Nobody can give you a correct answer for that, because when you put them on the spot, what is the greatest proof you have that the ground beneath your feet is moving at 1,040 miles per hour? They just look at you as like, what the fuck? How dare you? This is something I did to my own sister. It's like bloody 4 years ago when we talked about it, because she dared to question me because she questioned my intelligence and my sanity about flat Earth. And I said, okay, well, tell me, what's your greatest proof that the ground beneath your feet is spinning at 1,040 miles per hour? And she was like, what do you mean? I said, well, that's what you believe. If you believe we live on a spinning ball in this heliocentric model, you believe that that's what the ground is doing. And all of a sudden, we had to change topics. Let's not talk about that anymore. Let's not talk about it. That's the cognitive dissonance that it exists in everybody's head. So we have to be a little bit sympathetic towards these people, because my sister is not a stupid person. I'll give her credit where it's due. She's quite an intelligent person, but when you address somebody and you challenge them on what they think they believe, they don't even know they believe it. They don't even know it yet until you challenge them. And so that's when the cognitive dissonance clicks in. The same thing happened to me, 10, 11, 12 years ago when my father-in-law, ex-father-in-law, of course, but he was my father-in-law. I specifically decided to stay with his daughter because I thought, fuck me dead, my children are going to have great genes if I breed with this man's daughter. That was my deep down, ingrained, unsaid, never spoken before, you know. Why I decided to marry his daughter. Because I knew that my children would be imbued with great intelligence. And fuck, I just threw myself a huge. My own head there. Because I got sidetracked. It'll come back to me. I'm already getting the deja vu from the deja vu I had from the deja vu of having this deja vu right now. When it comes back to me, oh no, I've had this deja vu moment. And it just came back to me. It's because I was just going to move on. Because you cannot live in the past. You can only live in the here and now. And deja vu is thinking about the past. If you get that, then you're fucking intelligent. We are living here in the here and now, right here, right now. And what really matters is our interpretation of the here and now, which means that the noise these young fellas, I said, could come and live in my here and now. Doesn't affect my here and now, even though I do like my peace and quiet alone. Sometimes you have to make ends meet in other ways. Oh, Ryan brings me back down to earth. Back down, back down to earth by saying it's even worse than that. We're supposed to be orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles per hour. That is a huge amount of kinetic energy. Walking about in different directions would be interesting. And mate, you've nailed it on the head. Absolutely. Anybody who understands anything about kinetic energy and anything spinning around or orbiting. Yeah. I get told I'm the insane one because I can grasp that. I can grasp it. Yeah. You grasp, say, a hammer throw. If you ever played sports or athletics, in my athletic field, actually, we never had the hammer throw, but I've seen it done in the Olympics. And so I can understand it. That when you grasp this thing and you put it on a tether and you spin it around and around and around and you let it go, it will go flying off as far as it can until eventually air resistance and its own mass will bring it back down to earth. Down to earth. People keep asking me constantly, Why down? Why down? Did the other air have sufficient resistance and buoyancy to make it stay aloft? No. The lack of resistance is what makes it drop. That's what makes it go down. And that is why down is down. I actually got interrogated, you might say. And I do hope these blokes put up their live feed that I was interrogated with by this morning. And I will try and put a link onto it down here somehow, if I can, if I remember to. I do get a little bit forgetful. But I was interrogated. But why down? Why not sideways? Why not upwards? Hello? It's like, because none of those aspects have resistant force, which is the only force, is resistant force to resist you. So you might be able to travel through air for a certain amount, and if you have great big thrusters up your ass like an aeroplane, then you can thrust and force yourself through the air. But if you don't have these great big thrusting forces, well, you might be able to glide for a little while because you've made a very intelligently created glider which can plane through the air, a bit like a bird does. That's why you got resistant force. It's not a force. Well, you're resisting the force, but without that resistance, you're just going to drop. And so you drop until you find a sufficient resistant force to stop you from dropping any further. And in some cases, that might be deadly because it's the ground and you hit it a little bit too hard because you didn't resist yourself sufficiently. A parachutist resists himself sufficiently using a parachute to resist the air as he drops through it. That's the force. That's the resistant force. There is no attractive force, no attractive force whatsoever. The ground is not pretty. It's not attractive. It is the resistant force between you and the next place, something that is of sufficient resistant force to stop you falling any further, which we call buoyancy. Hence why the term that replaces gravity is density, relative density, and buoyancy. There's nothing apart from that in reality. It's so simple, like the fucking drink. I'm drinking a little bit too much today. Drink. I like that. Hit the gram. Used to be called the Gravit. Well, I think the name of it doesn't really make too much. Oh, hello, we've got Red the Tamer. Weight flatter. I think we might have an instigator of discussion here. So, what would you call it, Red the Tamer? Would you say that the spinning of the ball through space, ejecting all its atmospheric gases from itself into a vacuum, has enough mass to prevent all these gases that it ejects because of the law of equilibrium. Everything seeks to find its own space. You think that the attraction of mass of the ball is sufficient to keep most of those gases just hanging around because reasons? This is something that you believe in because you think you're on a spinning ball. No, I don't understand Spanish. And Spanglish. So obviously nobody can give you a rational explanation for why things that seek to equalize with themselves, such as gases, which will do their best to equalize with something, somehow cling around a ball as it's spinning through space and it's moving 66,600 miles per hour. Sure. Okay, so, yep, nobody can explain it. So let's just talk about something really good. The rain outside just suddenly started coming down really strongly. So one of the things we were talking about this morning on these people that believe in the globe, they believe in this Himawari 8 satellite. And the Himawari 8 satellite, according to their beliefs, shows them a real-time view of the globe and the weather as it exists. So somebody right now can pull up the Himawari 8 satellite image of here, which is the easternmost point of Australia, and show clouds above us, and show me why it's raining, if they were so inclined. I couldn't be fucking so inclined because I don't believe in satellites at all, but somebody will be able to do this. And I will give you a rational explanation for why the Himawari 8 satellite is not a satellite at all. It's a computer in Japan, and it is collating data from all around the world from all these various ground-based satellite, ground-based, or ground-based satellite. That's actually the best word for it. Ground-based towers who are collecting all this data for them, all this radar images, and it's compiling it into an image to try and show us this something that we expect, or some of us expect to perceive. It makes it look like we're living on a globe. The weatherman has been doing it on our television screens for God knows how long. I haven't watched television for God knows how long, so thankfully I haven't had the last 20 years of this brainwashing. But one of the greatest things, one of my uncles said when I told him we live on a flat earth and he's been brainwashed, he says, it can't be true because we see it on the television. We see the globe all the time. It's like, holy fucking shit. How can you get through to a mind like that? It's so programmed into believing in the globe image. You can't get through to him. He's too old. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Um, anyway. Okay, so I've got a couple of trolls in the chat. That's cool. Troll away. If anybody has anything decent to say, just let me know. We will address that. With the beer. Um, Who the fuck are you talking to? Ryu? I've never had Instagram. Oh, I might have Instagram. Certainly never had it. You hear the boys upstairs going a bit nuts if you listen. It's because it's pissing down with rain now. Flood season. Anyway, this is Australia. Some of them are friends of friends. I have to put up with a bit of stuff, but hey, pays the rent. Yeah, they all play games. They love their little thingies. But hey, I think that's what pretty much we're all being conditioned to do these days. That's the problem. This is the biggest problem. Yeah, I grew up in an era of the computer too, where I loved playing games. And I once spent the bulk of my pocket money after saving for God knows how many months, and I went and bought the latest joystick because the joystick was the thing to you know control your games. And oh, this one had two buttons, not just one, but two. It was like the latest of the latest. I think it cost me like $20. That was a shitload of money back then. So as kids, as we're growing up, we play games. We understand. We're playing games. Sometimes as you get a little bit older, you get beyond that point. Nowadays, they've got like, I don't know how many buttons on their little joysticks, and they got one for each thumb. It's like, holy fucking shit. What I would have given for that when I was 14 or something. I missed out. I missed out. So I've never been a gamer in the sense that these kids today are now gaming away. I'm holding my tongue very, very much at the moment because, as a linguist, I could get. But just because we call them gay, I mean, gamers, doesn't mean I think that's definitely relevant. They're just gamers. Full stop. Okay. This is an interesting topic for discussion, actually. It's come up with on my old mate Phuket Word, Nick. Good, I consider him a good mate of mine, and Matt, I appreciate a lot of the stuff he does, and hopefully he will understand a lot of the philosophical side of the things that I'm referring to now, because we are talking about gamers. And I hesitate. I fucking hesitate to go down that path because it's not a path I want to go to. I'm not one of these what you call yourself well, these transinvestigators. I think that's the term they use. Transinvestigators. I'm not one of those. Never have been. Never will be. I don't give a fuck. You are. You are. And you will be who you want to be. But you will not influence who I am, one way or the next. So be yourself and do it properly. That's the best you can do. But if you're not being yourself, if you're trying to impersonate something else, some preconceived concept of what you think you should be, you're insane. Just be yourself. That is the only path to sanity. Be yourself. Be true. Be honest. I mean, if you want to dress up in makeup and fool somebody and do all that sort of shit, hey, if that's who you want to be, cool. Do it. Go for it. Do it. Be yourself. Do what you want to be. At the end of the day, the only one who's going to judge you is you. And if you are happy, and if you're doing no harm, then keep being you. That's all that matters. Be honest. Be true. Be yourself. I'm being the best example of myself I can possibly be because I'm allowing myself to be it as myself. I've let my hair grow wild. I do have to wear glasses. I make and drink as much beer as I possibly can, as fast as I can, and consume it as fast as I can because that is how I am being me. I couldn't be me if I wasn't being me. If I was pretending to be somebody else just to please everybody else, I wouldn't be authentic. The only way to be authentic is to be yourself. Here and now, you are who you are. And who are you? You are you. And I think most of us are faking ourselves because we want to present ourselves to other people. Am I right or am I right? Take care, Ryan. It's really good to see you, mate. I've missed so many comments that I probably didn't give a shit about. Mark, love you, brother. Ryan, love you, brother. Mick Dundee, you know, I would give my left arm for when I was 14. Yeah, Mick Dundee, uh, thanks, mate. Your contribution was greatly appreciated, and I appreciate all that Vaseline you gave me while I was sleeping. Oh, hang on. What we have here is a failure to communicate. This is probably going to be the shortest long live stream I've ever made. Now, hang on. The other thing, the longest short stream. I knew what I was talking about. Just because you misinterpreted what I didn't know what I was talking about doesn't mean that your interpretation of what I misinterpreted what we were talking about has any relevance to do with reality. And you can take that to the bank. You won't get any currency, but you where the fuck you want to take it. Take it to the lake. I'd take it with a blanket and a six-pack of beer. Just lay back in the sun and go, wow. Yeah, that's probably what I'd do with it. But anyway, hey, let's bring it all back to reality right here, right now. And now that we've done that, let's move on to the next thing. There is no reality. All you have is your perceptual interpretation of reality. I'll even take my interpretational reality perception off my eyes for a minute. You have your eyes, ears, nose, taste, touch. You have senses that give you your interpretation of reality. But why the fuck? You know, we're told this shit as children. We're told this is our perception of reality. You have five senses. I'm sorry. Hang on a second. I hit myself in the hand to make myself hit myself in the face to face palm myself. I am not sorry to wake you up to the fact we do not have five senses. We do not have five senses. We have 5 gajillion million senses. This is what my beard is telling me every single time. Each single one of these is an antenna. Each one of this on my head is an antenna. These, every single one of them is a sense. So limit yourself to these basic taste, touch. I want to face palm every single one of them people that indoctrinate you with this idea that we are limited to five senses. Okay. Some people might get me, I don't know. I'm a bad man. I need more beer. My point is, everything that we've been told and indoctrinated with is a limitation of our true potential. Our true potential is far superior to the things that we are told that we are limited to. And why is that? Why? Who is suppressing us? The people that fear us the most. And why do they fear us? Because we are superior. We are superior because we are the true children of God. And they fear us because they convince themselves they're the chosen ones. They will be given the world once they suppress true knowledge. True knowledge cannot be suppressed. Us Gnostics be destroyed. That is why, my dear friends, we keep coming back again and again to heralding the new age. But it was interesting. Might have to stop this live feed for now. I do appreciate you guys. Bye. Yeah, we did have a little bit of this 5G energy dropping in as well. It's definitely inevitable. There's somebody called himself Village Idiot Control trying to troll on the channel, as you would expect. Anyway, I can definitely tell that this thing is finished. I will be back. I'm gonna make some more what you might call uh, using technology type videos shortly. And thanks for hanging around. I really appreciated it. Thanks for the thumbs ups and all. And yeah, generally I do. I'm a bit crazy like that. I can get myself controlled in the chat. I need to give myself a little bit of a reality check. Oh yeah. I think they have oven mitts on sale, don't they? Holy fucking shit. I didn't see that one coming. Alright. Well, thank you so much, my friends. I still have to give you a special shout out to you, Mark Swarbrick. You're an awesome man. Fucking love you, brother. And well, I'm giving special shout outs because I don't do it very often. Freya. How can I not? Freya. Bam. And to everybody else, thanks so much for watching. And especially to my beautiful fiance, Resty. You'll always be in my heart. My love. I love you more than anything. Apart from my mission here and great contradiction there. I know. We'll talk about that later. That's it. See you guys.